Happy morning, dear friends. Here's yours, Dr. Ajanta. Welcome to Demystify with Ajay. Dear friends, we are in a Generative AI series. In our previous session, we explored how Pandas helps us build series and data frames. But once you have created a data frame, the real journey begins. Because the success of generative AI depends on how well you can clean, explore, and transform your data. Think about it. If you are fine tuning a language model, you will want to quickly check the first few prompts, completion pass in your dataset. So, if you are creating image caption data for a diffusion model, you may need to filter rows where captions are missing. So, if you are preparing embedding for a retrieval system, you might need to sort by similarity score or reindex data to match external metadata. So in this session, we will unlock the basic functionalities of Pandas data frame, viewing data, selecting subsets, filtering with conditions, editing rows and columns, running descriptive statistics, and reorganizing data through sorting and reindexing. And dear friends, by the end, you will see how every single one of these operations directly supports generative AI. Turning raw messy data into structured model ready inputs. Dear friends, after having learned how to define and build a data frame, in this session we will address some of their basic features. We will also discover how the data frame can be modified in its structure and content. By subscribing to our channel, you will never miss any updates and get notified of our latest videos and series. Dear friends, in this session, we will see how to view the data within a data frames in a simple and direct way. Of course, both with the classic print function and using appropriate methods made available to the Panda library. The first thing that comes naturally to us after creating a new data frame is to able to see its content. We already saw in the previous session that this can be done by simple using print function. Here we just go. Let me just make use of a random. After creating a data frame with a data frame constructor and assigning it to a variable, it will be sufficient to pass the later as an argument to the print function. So let me just create the Panda, that is a data frame. And here let me just create it by using a random. Okay. So as you can see, all the content of the data frame will be displayed in the text form, including the indexes with their labels. However, the printout will keep the tabular format respecting the row column correspondence with their labels. Dear friends, the data frame that we use are small in size. Of course, see here we are just taking it. It is only the 10 into 5, that is 10 rows and 5 columns. And direct printing approach of this data frame is functional. In reality, in real case studies, the data frames created will be an enormous in size with hundreds of rows and dozens of columns. It is immediately clear that the direct display of an entire data frame is at least burdensome on the part of the system being used. So to have a sufficient view or to roughly understand the structure of the data frame and get an idea of the data it contains, the Panda library provides us with two methods. One is, I just specify here, it is one is the head, and next one it is all about the tail function. Okay, so by calling this method on the reference data frame, the first topmost 5 records or 5 rows are printed with the head method and the last 5 lines with the tail method. So kindly just have a note of it. If I just want to make use of the head, so this is what. So Kindly just observe here, dear friends, these two methods allows us to see the first and last 5 records. So this is what the head. So the default behavior can be changed by passing the number of lines to be displayed as the argument of the two methods. So here it is the head, and here let I just give the tail. So this is what the last 5 records, and even though you can just change it with any desired customized. So if I just want to give 7, yeah, we just get the first 7 records. So we want to see only the first 3 rows or only the last 3 rows. Yeah, we can just get it with the result of this head and the tail. Okay, next let me just see on the selection, dear friend. This is exactly which we just say selection by subsetting. The selection of the elements within a data frame is a common operation and is the basis of many subsequent operations. In fact, you can select a single element by much more often. We will need to select a subset of elements, which we just say subsetting. I just specify here as subsetting. Okay, so which can be smaller data frame or even a series. So therefore, the selection involves the extraction or the focus of a subset of a data frame, a part of data of our interest, on which we will then perform some operations or manipulations to obviate our data analysis. Okay, so this subsetting, yeah, dear friends, structured objects such as data frames and series have been created specifically to carry out the selection process on them in a simple and efficient way. Since Panda library is based on NumPy's library, and in its way extended some of its feature, it wanted to keep both the possibilities of being able to select the elements of data frames and series with the number of the positions. So both extend this concept through the indexes and their labels. So when we want to select a single item, things are quite simple. You specify the label corresponding to the row and corresponding column or the position with the data frame by means of a pair of integer. Okay, so let me just see here. Kindly just have a note of it. I just want to create a small data frame here. So this is data frame 1, and let me just make a data frame, and I just give a random rand int of 0 to 9 of total 16 elements. I just need it to reshape it with 4,4 matrices, and I didn't stop that. Again, I just want to add some more indexes, which is in a list manner. I'm just going to give in a lower labels as A, B, C, D, and of course the columns as uppercase A, B, and D. Okay, so let me just print our data frame 1 and kindly just observe. So this is what the data frame, and yeah, when we just want to make small selection, so I'm just going to give by using the indexing. Indexing is corresponding column. So kindly just see here, dear friend, if I just want to print data frame at, what I'm just going to do, I'm just providing at, and I need A, comma A. So what it is? Of course, it is what's said to be the indexing. So see here, oh sorry, it's df1. So see here 2. So from here, yeah, we are able to identify this exact element. Okay, if you want to make the same thing by an integer position, okay, let I just give something related to the integer position. Let I just go with an integer. So here I have to just provide it with I, it is all about the integer positioning. And here let me just give the index anything 1 comma 1. Okay, so kindly just see here, dear friends, 1 comma 1, it is all about, this is the one row and this is what the column 1. So here we just get, this is the element. So, but most of the time we need to select certain subset of the data frame and not a single element. So we will have to extend the single value, that is as like integer or variable, with words that somehow express a particular subset on which to make the selection. So when selecting a single element, you get a scalar values as a return. So if on the other hand, you select on a subset, you get a series or a data frame. Okay, now let I just see here, dear friends, once again. I just to show you, this is what, so df1, and in that I can just make use of the other positioning, which we can just say ILOC. ILOC, it is also the same thing as like positioning. Okay, so kindly just observe, yeah, I am just able to identify 2 comma 1. 2 is in the sense as this one, and 1, of course, it is the exact element of this. Yeah, if you want to receive a series or data frame as a return value, even the case of selection on a single element, yeah, you must use a list containing a single element to specific both rows and columns. So I just provide it in a list manner. So kindly just observe how I'm just providing. So df1 dot ILOC, and here inside it is 2 and it's 1. So kindly just observe. So here you just able to see it's in a data frame method, that is C with the B. And dear friends, the two square brackets that we often find immediately after the name of the data frame can be defined as an indexing operator. So its operation is inherited from NumPy array and is handled in a similar way to that used with the n-dimensional array. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it. If you just want to have only the columns, if you simply enter a string, for an example, if for an I just provided, so df1, if I just provide only the single string, enter a single string, and this will be interpreted as the label corresponding by the column, and kindly just observe how we just get. And the indexing operator will extract the value contained in that particular column, thus obtaining a series. So instead, if you pass a list of string within the operator, these will be considered the column to be selected. And kindly just note it, it is not adjacent. Okay, so here I just go with the data frame 1, and kindly just see how I am just providing. This is the B comma D. Okay, so see here. So it is not as like adjacent. So the columns whichever you want, yeah, you can just select it. And if on the other hand, if we pass the numerical value inside the indexing operator in the both of the obtaining the corresponding column, kindly just have a note of what we just get it. Of course, it is, observe, what we just get? Of course, it is an error. It is an error. So, another unexpected behavior is when the slicing, so which we just specify here is like slicing. So, let I just give a small intro related to the slicing, dear friends. See, actually slices specify ranges of index. including in a single word a set of contiguous columns or rows without having to specify them individually. So to define the slice, the slicing techniques are used with a colon operator. So which we just say as like this, colon operator. So the same as which we just used in NumPy. Okay, so another unexpected behavior in when the slicing operator is used. So the indexing operator here will always interrupt string as row and actually it is not a column. Okay, so it is exactly onto that label. So kindly just observe how you are just going to get it done. So this is what the data frame, and I'm just going to give a row, okay, from this, okay, from this row till end of this thing. So kindly just see from A till C I'm just able to extract. So the indexes operator will select all the rows covered by the interval indicated by the two labels separated by the slicing operator, that is the column. And here slicing cannot be used for column. We have another asymmetry when using the numerical values corresponding to the position. So we saw that by directly entering a numeric value now previously. So yeah, of course you get an error message. But if we insert them in the context of the slicing, they are accepted and interrupted. Interrupted as the position of the corresponding rows. So let me just give it. So kindly just observe. So this is what the data frame, and here we go with 0:1. So to select a single row, we will still have to use a slicing as shown here. So we are selecting the first single line. Although it is normally to use it in selecting a set of adjacent rows, and let me make use of the same thing by df1, and here I'm just going to give 0 to 2. So see here, we are just able to get more than 2 rows. Dear friends, however, there are particular attributes which we will refer to as an indexer created and optimized specifically in the pandas library to perform the selection operations. So one, it is with the, yeah, of course we have already seen, that is LOC, and it is ILOC. Okay, so this LOC operator focus on selection based on the labels contained within the index objects, and kindly have a note of it. I just provide you the exact syntax. We have to provide the row labels here, and of course the column labels. Okay, so if you want to select a single element within the data frame, yeah, you will first specify the row labels and then the column labels. So kindly just have a note of it. Let me just apply it by providing this ILOC, and here it is our data frame. LOC first, let me just apply it, and here I'm just going to provide the label, and this is for row. Okay, and kindly just have a note of it. I'm just going to make it for column as an uppercase. So this is how the uppercase. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it. Yeah. So this is what a single, if you want to make it use of a single element, yeah, of course it can be done. And this one is a subset of adjacent elements. You can just use the slicing techniques with labels. Okay, so in slicing, all the elements included between the extremes expressed by the two labels are selected, including this. Okay, so a smaller data frame is obtained as a return value. If on another hand you want to select the entire range of columns or rows, yeah, just write the slicing operator how you want to just make it is. See, kindly have a note of it. So this one, print of data frame 1, and here I'm just going to give A towards every, just to see every column. Okay, every column here. So entire column here I just get, oh sorry, one second, I just didn't use the LOC. So see here, so every column we are just getting it. And but the column and rows may also not be contiguous. So in this case you can also use a list containing the labels to be selected. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it. I'm just going to give you the data frame 1 and LOC here. I'm just going to give it inside. This is one listing, and of course here we just go with uppercase. So see here. So where we have selection with contiguous rows and columns, it is advisable to specify the range with slicing, and where instead of rows and columns are isolated. Okay, the labels are specified in the form of list. However, using both words in the same column or row selection, it just gives an error. Okay, so that one, how you can just make use of it. So kindly just see here, dear friends, if you just give like this LOC, and instead of making this one, so here I just specified as LOC, and if I just specify like this, where here towards the slicing, and kindly just observe, I'm providing a column, and inside A and towards B, sorry, it's uppercase B and comma and D. So what it just means, of course, it is an error. Where it is, yeah, there is an invalid syntax near to this functionality, that is A to B here. So to overcome this problem, you can combine two selection using the join method. It can be done. Okay, so it's a solution to obviate the simulations using of listing and slicing. Okay, so that is the selection of adjacent and non-adjacent indexes. So kindly just observe, dear friends. So here how I'm just going to give is df1 dot loc, and here I'm just going to give this one a colon, sorry, this one is colon, and here it is C, and next one it is all about A, and colon it's B. And here I didn't stop this, I want to join one more. So where it is going to be as like df1 and LOC, and inside that I need exactly to the same LOC. Okay, so towards this LOC, kindly just observe, and instead one and only thing, I need the D. So here I just going to give the D. Okay, now observe, I'm just getting A, B and D. So this is how you can just make use of it, and alternate way to achieve the same result by chaining the selection to gradually narrow the field. To gradually narrow is in the sense subsetting of subsetting until the desired results are obtained. So kindly just see how you can just make use of the other one. So df1, and here I'm just going to give LOC, and see here, dear friends, wherever I'm just specifying, as you already know about the slicing, if I'm just providing the slicing here, if this is what the start, stop, and to that of next one is step. Yeah, if this start is an empty, yeah, it is meant as from the beginning. And if this stop is in an empty or a null, yeah, of course it is to till the end of that, whether it is rows or column like that. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it. Let me just go into this particular scenario. Here I'm just going to specify, observe it, the column A, the column B, and the column D, only the selection. Okay, so here towards the LOC of the row functionality, kindly just see it is indexes of A to C, okay, with the sum every columns here I have just given every selected columns. This can also be done. Okay, so kindly just to see the same thing whichever we have just applied in 23 cell, yeah, the same thing appears in the 24th too. Yeah, of course, one is the join method and another one is the chaining method. Okay, now let's we just go with the ILOC, which is the selection by location. Yeah, this exact ILOC operator works with the same rule as the selection operator for list in the Python. So that is, it focuses on the position of an element expressed by the sequence of the integer from 0 to n minus 1. So of course, yeah, I just specify this is ILOC, and here we just go with row number, and next it is all about column number. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it, dear friends. If we want to select a single element, it will be enough to add its numerical coordinator of the corresponding position. So I'm just going to give the print of df1 is our data frame. If I just provide the integer value, that is the numerical value here, 1, 3. Of course, kindly just have a note of it where we are. Of course, if we want to select a subset of data frame, we can use the slicing technique. Okay, slicing technique by specifying the ranges of numerical indices. So if they are adjacent, yeah, how we are just making it. So kindly just observe here. I'm just going to make use of here ILOC, and 0 to 2 it is row, and next one 1 to 3 it is the column, and what we just get, yeah, a subset. Kindly just observe here we are just getting the subset. And for an example, if the exact element are not adjacent, we can replace slice with list. Okay, if it is not adjacent, yeah, we can just go with slice with list by ILOC, and kindly just see here it is 1, and next one it is 0 to 2. Okay, so see here, this one it is all about the row, and the 0 and 2 it is all about the column. Okay, so if you must select a single row, insert the values within a single element list. So to have a data frame that preserves the same indexing structure as a return value. So kindly just have a note of if you want to make that. So df1. So let I just give its type too, so that you can just understand how this comes being towards the data frame. So see here, dear friends, and here ILOC, I'm just going to give 1 as my row and 0, 2 as the column. Okay, and kindly just to see, this is a simple data frame. Next, if you want, you simply specify the number as an argument, you will get a series as a return. Okay, if you just provide it as like a simple argument, so kindly just see here how I am just going to make use of this. So print of df dot ILOC, and kindly just to see how I'm just going to give 1 comma 0 comma 2. Okay, so here if I just specify the same 1 comma and 0 comma 2 inside. Okay, so kindly just see, oh sorry, it is df1. So see here, the first one, it is A2 and C5, and kindly observe here we just get it is as a series. So let me just move on to the part 2. Dear friends, we saw in the previous session how it is possible to select elements within a data frame, and of course we have also discussed some things related to series by specifying appropriate spatial indicator such as labels or numerical positions indices. And in this part, yeah, we will going to discuss the very similar operation which also selects, but it totally focused on the values of the elements, which we just say it as filtering. And dear friends, in this case, we will set a particular condition in the selection designed to select only the elements within the value. So that satisfies them. So there is therefore filtering of the values of a data frame. So that is what we are just going to discuss now. And of course, this filtering techniques is therefore based on a particular condition, and that particular condition is Boolean condition. Okay, so of course, dear friends, which is nothing more than a Boolean expression, that is mathematical expressions that results in a true or false. For an example, if we just specify anything that is x is greater than 5, or what is the values, whether it is related equivalent to 5 or not, if the condition is satisfied, yeah, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay, now let me just move on to the concept, that is filtering on the lines. Dear friends, the most initiative filtering is filtering on lines. So that is the one that will pass only a few lines of the data frame based on the Boolean concept. So kindly just have a note of it. Yeah, first let me just create a data frame, and here is the data frame, and yeah, of course we are just going to create a data frame of random values between 0 to 1. So here we just go, so pd dot data frame, and yeah, here let me just create it with random of something related 40. Okay, so over some 4 columns. Okay, so let me just reshape. Or 10 comma 4, and of course, yeah, we want to include one thing, that is columns 2. So here we just go with the columns, and last but not least, okay, so here it is the data frame, and let me just print it to get it executed. So we will define a Boolean condition based on which the selection will be made. So for an example, if we want to filter only those rows of the data frame that have the values of column A, which is greater than 0.5. Okay, so since these are on floating values, let me just make it as like 0.5. So here we just go with data frame, and this is the A column. Kindly just observe, it is greater than, I just want to make it with 0.5. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it. So as a result, we got a series of Boolean values. Just observe, dear friends, we just got a Boolean values, and we can easily see that only a few lines met this condition, which we just got only true, only few we just got. And at this point, we will pass the Boolean condition to an indexes operator. So we will perform a filtering of a data frame with the passage of only those rows that meet the requirement. Okay, so that meet this filtering process. As an indexing operator, we use the one represented by 2 square bracket, that is which we just made use of it, and this operator will take care of the passing only the row corresponding to this true condition. So that is what here we are just going to take, which is only the few. Okay, so based on the indices, so kindly just have a note of it. I'm just going to take this as our selection, that is the filtering. And now I want to make this as one of the data frame. So see here, this is the data frame I want to create with this condition. Okay, so with this condition, I'm just creating the second data frame, and kindly just have a note of it, how it seems. So see here, dear friends. So this is how you are just making the filtering. But you can also use other indexing operator. You can also make use of that indexes LOC, that is the location. That also you can just make use of it. So I just make that option also. So kindly just have a note of it. This was LOC, and within that, let me just pass on to this, and here let me execute it. So yeah, the result is of course pretty much the same. Okay, fine. Yeah, dear friends, let me just move on to the next filtering on columns. The complementary case to the previous one is filtering on columns. So in this case, only those columns of the data frames are filtered, so whose values meet certain requirements. Again, we will define a Boolean condition for an example. So kindly just have a note of it. Here I just want to make df dot mean. And yeah, dear friends, till now we have not discussed what is this mean or mode or related to the statistical function. Yeah, let me just make it in the next further sessions. But before that, I just want to show you the condition. Okay, so here kindly just to see, I want to make a Boolean. So we want to select only those columns whose average of the values is greater than. So average of the values is greater than 0.5. And here I just provided, so that 0.5 average. So see here, from the series returned as a result, we can see which columns meet this condition from the element with the value true. So we apply this Boolean condition to indexes. That is also it's possible. So yeah, of course, let me just make this as 4. You can also make the same thing by using LOC, and kindly just observe, I'm just going to make this condition as one among the filtering options. Okay, and let me execute the df4. Oh, I got an error. Just as from every rows and columns I have to include that also. Yeah, see here, dear friends. So as we can see the result, only the columns that met the requirement of the Boolean condition will be passed into the new data frame. Okay, will be passed into the new data frame, that is df4, which we just done it by filtering method. Okay, now of course, yeah, we have just seen with only one condition, yeah, applying with multiple condition. Of course, dear friends, yeah, you have to make use of the AND operator. I'm just going to give AND operator, and for OR operator, of course, yeah, you can also make use of NOT operator. Okay, so let me just make use of in filtering, you can apply several Boolean condition at the same time. So to do this, different condition can be applied at the same time. So here we are just going to make use of some logical operator as AND or NOT. So let me just make one condition. So that exact condition from the one single column, that is A, and I just want to fetch which is greater than 0.3. Okay, so this is one condition. And second condition, the same column that should be, yeah, greater than 0.7, anything. Okay, so it should be less than 0 or so now I just want to make it as like a combination of the both. So kindly just observe, I'm just going to make it with any one of the condition if it is satisfied. So kindly just observe, dear friend, applying it on an indices, how it would be. That is also, let me just see. So see here, before making into this, so this is what, how we make use of one or more condition. Okay, so let me just apply the same thing. I'm just going to copy this and let me apply on to a new data frame. I'm just going to form a new data frame. So here, this data frame should make use of this functionality. Of course, I'm just going to make copy of already copied. So let I just execute this one by making a print session. So yeah, print of df5. So kindly just observe, dear friend, how this exact happenings. So I think every values, it is less than 0.3 and of course it is greater than 0.7. Any one of the followings, it just gives the value. And if the same Boolean condition are often used within the code, yeah, it would be a good practice to first define them as variable and then use them when necessary. Okay, so that is also possible. And of course, dear friends, one among the functionalities related to this concept of filtering is Boolean reduction. So there are a number of methods called reduction methods which allow you to obtain a reduced results as like any, the function any, or you can just make use of all function. Okay, so but let's just say some example by clarifying the function. Dear friends, actually we apply a Boolean condition in which all the elements of the data frames are evaluated. For example, if we want to know which element of the data frames have a value greater than 0.5, how we just make use of it? So 0.5 or 0.11 or whatever thing. So here I'm just going to show you, this is what. So that is df greater than 0.1. Okay, so this is how we just seen, and let I have execution of the same. So this is how. Okay, so in this case, we got a data frame full of Boolean values. Kindly just to see everything are Boolean values. And a reduction method can be applied to this data frame such as all. Okay, all method to know if each column or within each column all the values meet these requirements. And kindly just have noted, all should be true. So in that manner, kindly observe how I am just going to make use of this is, I am going to pass this functionality as separate. Maybe you can also have use of df6.all. So kindly just have a note of it. So whereas the any method that has the opposite behavior. See, opposite behavior is, that is, it allows us to know if it is context of each single column. So that is at least one value should be satisfied and the condition, it should be true. Okay, so here let I just make any of that function. Okay, so kindly just observe. And an interesting thing in when we apply the any method, if we just applied twice, a single Boolean value is obtained by confirming at least the presence is the entire data frame of a single element that satisfies the condition. Yeah, let me just have that look also. If you just make it any and again twice, if you just use it, yeah, of course we just get it obtained by confirming at least once the presence is entire data frame of a single element that satisfy the condition. Got it, dear friends? Okay, now another method of filtering is ISIN. So this is an ISIN method. Okay, so this method lets you know if one or more element are present inside a object such as a data frame or series. Okay, so in this regard we define an example data frame and let me just make it predefined. Okay, so let we create one of the data frame here. Let we make it pd dot data frame, and let I just make it with an array or a range of 9, and let me just reshape it with 3 into 3 matrix, and of course I just want to include the columns too, and here the name of the column, 3 columns which I just want to specify is A, B and C. Okay, so let me execute it and let's see what is the df7 here. Yeah, so now let's apply the ISIN method with some values to search for. Okay, here let me just create a new data frame df8, and yeah, I want to pass the previous data frame df7, and let me just make it an ISIN method. And yeah, here let me just pass some list of values. Okay, so 0, 3. Okay, so let me just execute it by df8, and kindly observe, dear friend. See, as we can see that by passing a list of values as an argument to the ISIN method applied to the data frame, we get a Boolean data frame of the same size, which we have true if the value belongs to the list and false if it doesn't exist. And of course, dear friends, we can see this is also one among the filtering operation. Thus, passing this Boolean data frame to the indexing operator, you can get a filtering of the values in which only those which corresponds to true as a value will be passed, and which all the other, if we just specify, if we just get it corresponding to the values of false, of course we would just get it as like NaN, which is not a number. So let me just make it on to the data frame here. So df7 of df8. Kindly just observe. So then it will be up to us to decide how to handle this NaN. So this is a not further classification, further more whether the data is missing or not, like that. Okay, so see here, this is how you can just make use of the filtering functionality. And yeah, dear friends, next it's the topic on editing. So kindly have a note of it. Let me just start it on editing. And what is this editing is in the sense, dear friends, actually in this previous section we saw how to select some parts as parts in the sense some subset of a data frame to view them and to extract them as a new object, whether that object is a series or data frame or more often. Okay, so to manipulate them later operating on to the values in some way. And another basic operation that is carried out is that of editing. That is, once you have created a data frame with a constructor, yeah, it will be necessary to make changes to its structure. So sometimes it will be necessary to add at the end, or even it need an insertion or any new element such as rows or columns and other items. Yeah, it will be necessary to remove entire rows and columns too. Okay, so yeah, in this part we will define or we will discuss how to deal with the editing of a complex object such as a data frame here. Yeah, let me just first go on to adding. Okay, so here we just go. So you will have to understand by now that due to the way the data frame was structured within them, you can think the column as separate series. Okay, assembled together to form a data table. So the editing operations of a data frame working on the columns are somewhat easier. Okay, so let me just create a data frame here. So yeah, this is what the data frame. Okay, and yeah, kindly just observe. Let me just make it as a one among this, and of course 4 5 6, let be the next one as 7 8 9. So these are the exact elements, and yeah, we just going to make first one, we need to make the index, of course. So let me just have it 3 indexes as A, B and C, and of course the next one is the columns. Yeah, we are just going to differentiate with an uppercase. So this is what. Okay, now let me just print the data frame. So here we just have the data frame as 1 2 3 and 4 5 6 and 7 8 9. And here, dear friends, I just want to add a column at the end. Is a fairly simple operation. So it is sufficient to select a column that does not yet exist. So specify a new label within the index operator and enhance it in some way. So in this way, a new column will automatically, okay, and automatically be created, which will be added after the last existing. So kindly just have a note of it. This is what I just don't want to make it. So that is which doesn't exist. Okay, so here I just want to make it as like 17, and kindly just see every element of that column would be 17. So let I just print df. Kindly just see here. So from now, if you select this column, the behavior will be the normal selection behavior, where the returned value will be as like a series. That is also okay. Fine. Yeah, if you want to create a new column with different values instead of a single scalar, yeah, we can just pass a list containing all the values, but kindly just observe, yeah, you have to know what is the number of indexes here it is present. So yeah, I'm just going to include one of the column, and I'm just going to pass a list here. So 13 14 and 15. Okay, so passing a list containing all the values, and let me just see what is the df here. So this is how. In the same technique can be used to update the values of an already existing column. So for an example, let me just pass the list of values to all to an already existing column. So here let me just have an existing column. Let me just move on to the D. Okay, so here I just want to make something updation. So new updation. So kindly just observe. I'm just going to give other than the numeric. So here I'm just going to make this one, and let me just have the df. So see here, dear friends. So how it has been updated with the new elements. It is what that you are replacing those already present elements with a new. So to enhance a column, you can use a existing series instead of a list also. And yeah, you can also make use of something with a series. Let we make this as a series here. So pd dot series, I just want to make it like, kindly just observe 11 and 12. Okay, and here I'm just going to give the index as, yeah, kindly just observe already existing index. This is what already existing index, and here df of D, I'm just going to give the SR. And now observe what is the df here. It is 10, 11, 12. And dear friends, yeah, another very useful operation is removal of a column from a data frame. And here we would use delete. Okay, so del as the keyword on exist. So that can be used for this deletion purpose. And kindly just have a note of it. If I just want to make use of this del as the keyword in the data frame, okay, df, and particular onto the column e, and kindly just see this is the e. And once for all deleted, kindly just let me know. Yeah, of course the column is permanently removed from the data frame, but there may be cases where the removed columns want to be preserved in some way. Okay, so the pop method allows you to remove the column from the data frame and return it as series that can be stored in a new variable. Okay, here the SR is the series, and I'm just going to take it from the data frame df, and let me just pop the column. Kindly just observe, dear friend, I'm just going to pop the df, that is d column, and let kindly update the data frame here. So see here, dear friends, and do you want to know where the exact series is there? Yeah, see here, I just let you know the print type of ASR, and kindly just see, yeah, it is the series, and yeah, it just has what is the column D had. And another useful method for editing a column within a data frame is the insert method. And this method inserts a new column within a data frame. And yeah, let me just make it with an example. So here we can insert a series we extracted earlier with the pop. Okay, so back to the data frame which we have just made it in the position 1, and let me just call it as label z, okay, to make it a differentiation. So all this is passed to an argument insert. So kindly just have a note of it. I'm just going to insert by using the insert method, and I'm just going to make it with the position 1, and its column name is z, and from where the source is SR. Okay, now once on passing this, kindly just have a note of the updated data frame. So see here, dear friend. So this is the position 1. Of course, you all just know that the exact column, it just starts with the index 0. So now the position 1 is Z. So the same insert method can also be used to copy a column within a data frame. So how it is possible? Yeah, let me just make it instead of a column. The column to be copied is passed instead of an external series. Okay, so kindly just see here, this is what. Let me insert at the third position. I have to provide the third position here, and yeah, I just want to make it as like a copy, so I'm just going to make it as a B2. And from where the source is df of B. Yeah, of course we are just going to copy the B, okay, the column B from the data frame df, and we are just going to insert it to the third column. And yeah, to be the thing, kindly just observe. Yeah, kindly just see here, the B column has been copied and it has been inserted in the third position. So yeah, dear friends, till now we have just seen about the adding, deleting and inserting a column. So let me just explore few things related to the rows. So yeah, so the same thing, let me have the df here. So I just copy the previous data frame which I just made it for the editing. So here I'm just going to make this as df2, or okay, so this is my data frame 2. So let me just take this as our data frame. Yeah, so we saw that in using the columns, we are privileged because we largely exploit the internal structure of the data frame, so which provides the column as a series. So just call a column with the corresponding label to get a series. So it is possible as like by, if you just want to make a print of df2 of a. So kindly just see, this is what. So this reality has been pushed into the syntax within the library to point of the considering the column as a real attributes. So without even using this, without even using the exact indexing operator, that is anymore we want to just, we can make use of the attribute itself. So kindly just have a note of it, dear friends. So I'm just going to make, this is my data frame and here it is the column. Okay, so in the both the case the results are identical and we get a series as return values. Okay, so now, but in the previous section we saw that the indices are powerful tools that allows us to work smoothly within rows and columns. Okay, so let us use the indexer LOC functionality. Okay, so here I'm just going to make use of that. So observe it, dear friends. So t here I'm just going to make it as the variable and df dot loc, and I'm just going to take the index a. And of course you're all known about that this t is also a series. So do you want to know it? Yeah, here it is go. So here the t is also a series. Okay, so it allows us to extract the row of the data frame as a series in a similar way to what can be done with columns. Okay, so you can also then add a row in the same way as for the columns. Okay, let me just make use of this. First of all, here we just go with the data frame. This is our data frame, and kindly just see here, dear friend, to this data frame 2, I just want to include a row that is with an index D and of course the element with 12. And the symmetry response, kindly just observe the symmetry with respect to the editing of the column, that remains unchanged and follows the same operation but using the LOC operator, that is the indicer. Okay, the same editing result will be obtained. Then you can change the values of the rows with the scalar values also by just passing a list or passing any list of the values. Okay, so let me just see that also with an example. So kindly observe, dear friend. So here I'm just going to make df2 dot loc. Here, not only that new element, I'm just going to overwrite it. Both the operators are now I'm just going to do. So kindly just observe 10, 11, 12. So to the resultant, kindly see here the last row, which previously it was 12, 12, 12, and now it went on just passing on to the list with an element 10, 11, and 12. Here we have updated, that is changed by using a list of values. And of course you can change it by using a series that is already existing. You can also create a series here. I'm just going to make a series here. So this is what the series, and I'm just going to pass few elements, that is 13, 14 and 15. So this is the exact element. Let I just make this towards an indexes, and kindly just have a note of it, dear friends. This index, it's for the column wise. So I'm going to provide it in a uppercase. I have just provided it, and let name to this index. I want to give a name for this index. So here I'm just going to specify it as an E. Okay, so what is next? Of course, I'm just going to include this, that is updating towards the existed. So here I'm just going to make it as an existed one. What's next? Let we execute the data frame which is updated. So kindly just observe. So previously in the 37th cell, the value of D here is 10, 11 and 12. And kindly just see here now, it is 13, 14 and 15. Yeah, now let me just make on towards the deletion. Dear friends, to select the row or column to delete, you have to specify the label within the list as the first argument. Okay, so this exact method does not act directly on the calling the object, but returns the modified object which must then be inserted into a variable. So yeah, here we just go with it. So this is what my new data frame, where from the existing df2 I'm just going to drop the method, that is drop the row. And which row? Of course, kindly just observe, I'm just going to drop it where the axis, that is index is A. And dear friend, I have to make the axis, yeah, you can just specify the axis is equal to 0. If axis is 0, then it would delete the row, and if it is axis is equal to 1, yeah, it will delete the column. So here of course we are in the process of deleting the row, so I'm just providing axis is equal to 0. And let me see what is the updated data frame. So see here, the row with an index A has been deleted. Of course, we can also delete the same thing by using the axis 1. So kindly just have a note of it. I just want to make use of df4 here from df3. Let I drop. Kindly just see. Here I'm just going to make A. I think for the uppercase A, yeah, it is an column, of course. Anyhow, I'm just going to give axis is equal to 1. So now let me just see the updated data frame. So see here, the A has been deleted. And dear friends, we can also delete multiple rows or columns at the same time, yeah, by just adding the corresponding labels. And yeah, we can pass it as like an list as an argument. Yeah, let me just have it. Let me make it in the data frame 3 because we have a few elements in that, or else you can just go with data frame 2 also. So let me just have what is there in data frame 2. Yeah, it is what? So in that data frame, so I just want to delete, that is drop, of course, here multiple columns. Okay, so multiple rows. Let I just go for it. First of all, A and C, and of course the axis here it's 0. And see here, what is the updated df6? Yeah, here it is. And of course, dear friends, yeah, here we are ending with the editing process of columns and rows. And of course, dear friends, we dealt with the whole series of basic operations that apply to the data frame, and which greatly help in understanding this type of objects and how they work. And the concept of selection is very important because it allows us to focus our attention on the subset of the data type. And dear friends, this type of object often has a dimensional that are too large to be considered in their entirety. Okay, and in addition to the often insufficient selection, a filtering system that allows us to select only what meets particular requirement that come to our aid. Okay, moreover, in this session, we have also used various editing operations, and it was possible to better understand the functioning of the internal structure of the data frame. and how to manipulate it to modify, extend, or remove the useless or unneeded subsets. Dear friends, Pandas is a library designed for data analysis and the data frame or the basic object on which all the related activities are carried out. So having an idea of their contents and their structure or the outset is important in order to better target the operations to be carried out. Among the basic activities, there is therefore the calculation of general statistics that can somehow give an idea of the values contained within the data frame under analysis. And dear friends, we will see many basic features that the Pandas library offer to obtain this type of descriptive data. So let me just start the descriptive statistics, and inside the Pandas library, there is a function called describe method that calculates a whole series of descriptive statistics of the reference data frame. So let me just first create a data frame here with 10 into 4 with the data of total 40 values, and kindly have a note of it. We have created it through a random functionalities. Okay, now let me just provide the describe method. So this described, it is launched directly on the data frame to be analyzed, and as the result, it is a table of descriptive statistics carried out at the column level and reported in the structure of data frame. So kindly have a note of it. I'm just going to execute this, and yeah, what we just get it. Yeah, I'm just slowly scrolling down and up. Kindly have a view of it, dear friend. So the statistics processed are also returned in the form of data frame, each of which is processed by a single column. And among the reported values, we see the element count, the mean and its standard deviation, the maximum and the minimum, and 3 percentiles. So when on just making to this, yeah, when we are having the 0th column, kindly just observe, yeah, of course, each and every column are we having here 10 data each. Okay, and the mean of each column, so of course it is the 0th column, first column, second and to the third respectively, and this is the standard deviation. And kindly just have a note of it, what is the minimum of the 0th column? Yeah, we are having, this is the 0th column's minimum value. No, it is not. So of course, what is the minimum value? Yeah, we just have 0.005790. Yeah, this is the exact minimum value. And of course, we have the maximum as 0.708238. So, of course, dear friend, we just see that the element count, mean and its standard deviation, the maximum value of the each respective column and the minimum value, and of course the 3 percentiles as 25%, 50% and 75%. And have a note of it, dear friends, this information will be reported only for the columns of the data frame that contains a numerical value. So, okay, if we have a data frame other than the numeric, what would be happen? So let here kindly have a note of it. This is the data frame here with combination of numeric and string, and of course boolean also there. So let us just execute it here. So when we just provide the describe, if we just want to have the describe, of course it is only for the numerical values. Yeah, here we just go with it. And there are no columns with a numerical values here. Sorry, other than numerical values. So here we just get only the numerical values of the number. So which we just have, of course, we have 5 numbers, 5 counts, and this is the mean of this, and standard deviation, the minimum value, maximum value, and other 3 percentiles. We just get it. Now, what we just see for other than the numbers, we have to specify particular to the top column which we are having other than numbers. So other than with the columns with numerical values to be calculated. So it will present in addition to the number of elements present other statistic such as the number of unique elements and the most frequent value for every single column with its frequency. So that is what we would just get when we go for other than the numerical value. So see here, this is other than the thing. So which we just get is count, unique, the most value, it is 1. So I just scroll above. So see here, the topmost is the 1, and of course we just get the frequency of topmost is false. Okay, so the frequency is 1 and here the boolean is 3. So this is what we just get when we just go with other than the numericals. So in the data frame with many columns, it would be a good practice to be able to select only a few columns, okay, without having to first make a selection of subsetting and then applying the describe as which we have just done before. So in this regard, there are two parameters. One is include and next one is exclude. So which allow us to explicitly specify which column should be included or excluded in the calculation of descriptive statistics. So the peculiarity is that you do not pass list containing labels, but you have to specify the data types. So that is the selection is made by the type of data. So kindly just have a note of it here. I'm just going to specify the integer. So of course we know, yeah, number, the column num is only which is having the integer value. So see here, this is what DFT2 and data frame 2, and here we just have only that num column has the numerical value. And yeah, coming to the next, dear friends, here there are several methods to calculate descriptive statistics and other related operations on series and data frames. So those mainly taken into the consideration are a whole series of methods taken from the NumPy library that are also applicable on the data frame. And here we are just going to see calculation of individual statistics. Okay, so the statistical evaluation by column is the default one, and you can also omit to insert the axis parameter. For example, if you want to calculate the mean of a value in each column, yeah, you can just provide the mean method here. And yeah, of course, here if you just want to make it to the column, kindly just observe to the column. If I just want to make, yeah, here I just specify it is on columns. Okay, so yeah, of course we have to specify 0 or the main attribute, it is axis is equal to 0. Okay, so let me just see here. Yeah, so we are having, so DF1, yeah, of course, I just to show what is that in the DF. So let I just have a scroll above. So this is what the DF, and of course we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So totally 4 columns is there. And yeah, we are getting the mean of each column. Okay, each column. So in fact, as many results are obtained as there are columns in the data frame, whereas if we want to carry out the statistical evaluation by the row, so the value must be specified, that is 1 must be specified here. Okay, so it is very much important. If you just specify axis is equal to 1, yeah, of course it is the correct exact method. So kindly just have a note of it. If I just specify according to the axis 1, yeah, here you can specify mean of 1. And what we just get, yeah, we are having totally 10 rows, and yeah, here it is the statistical evaluation by the row functionality. And next, let me just move on to the one standard deviation. And dear friends, a statistical value related to the calculation of the mean is the standard deviation, which is expressed in the function as like STD. So if I just make on to the DF, of course, we have 4 columns and 10 rows. Yeah, here it just provide me the exact calculation of each and every column. And for this type of statistical calculation, there are many methods that can be used directly onto the data frame. And dear friends, let's add a few more functionality to this. Yeah, add some standardization also. So this technique is widely used in the statistics and data analysis to make the different data series better comparable to each other. So making them standard. Okay, so let I just make this to be easy understanding. So these data groups are somehow aligned statistical in order to able to compare them more easily and highlight the difference. And in a practical way, standardization consists of making the mean of this group of value which is equal to 0 and standard deviation as unitary. Okay, so this can be done simply on a data frame, but also series also you can just follow it and kindly have a note of it. This is what the standard deviation. I just want to calculate it by mean and to that of standardization. Okay, and kindly just have a note of it when I execute this. So here we just get the mean value and next it is the one of standardized value. Okay, fine. So we will see some of the techniques that somehow rearrange the internal structure of the data frame by acting as the index level. In fact, dear friends, actually the order of labels within the data frame is not immutable but can be changed during the analysis. Okay, so there are therefore some techniques that act at this level include transposition, sorting and re-indexing. Okay, so let me just start with the transposition. Dear friends, the transposition of a data frame is equivalent to the mathematical operation of the transposition of a matrix. So in this operation, the rows become the columns and the columns becomes the rows. So that is exact transposition. Applying a transposition to a data frame will therefore have the exchange of labels between index and the column. Okay, so with the consecutive reordering of the values related to them. So let me just first create a data frame and mix things. Okay, so here I have just applied the exact data frame as created with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8, 9. Yeah, of course it is what usually we just do with the same example. And having the index as ABC in the lower and the column with ABC as in the uppercase. So kindly have a note of it, dear friends. So this is how the exact data frame is. And how to make it towards the transpose? Yeah, to carry out the transpose of the data frame, it is sufficient to recall the attribute T, that is in uppercase. Okay, so it is what that. Okay, and yeah, kindly have a note of it. Yeah, thus we obtain the transposed data frame. So kindly have a note of it. This is the exact column. It has been converted as the indexes and the rows, that is the indexes A, B, C in the lower case now become the columns attribute. Okay, so yeah, fine. Now next, moving on to the sorting. Dear friends, often when loading a data frame from a data source, it happens that the order of rows or column is not the desired one. During the various analysis phases, we may wish to sort values of a specific column in ascending or descending order. Okay, all these sorting operations can be done by using sorting by labels or sorting by values or some thing sorting by both the values and labels. Okay, so let me just see one by one. And here we go with creation of a data frame. And dear friends, this exact data frame, yeah, let me just create a data frame with the inside of the index and column labels arranged in an unordered way. So it is practically almost a real data frame. Okay, so let me just create it. It is in an unordered manner. Okay, so that is what we have just given something as a random. Okay, now let we sort it by the label. Okay, let me just sort it by the label first. So the sorting by label is based on sorting the label in axis or column based on their value. And it is performed efficiently by the method called sort_index. Okay, this is the exact method. And by default, this method puts the label on the index in the data frame, and defaultly it is in ascending order. So matching the value on each row will allow how to make them in the follow in the same order. Okay, so let me just make it. So this is our data frame. Of course, kindly have a note of it. This is our data frame, and this data frame, when we want to sort it, and of course we are just going to make it into a data frame 2. So kindly have a note of it, how it has been ordered. And as we can see from the result, the rows of the exact data frame have been reordered and following the ascending order of the index labels. So we therefore had a sort order by row, while the order of the column remained unchanged. So if on other hand, if need to sort the labels in descending order, of course we can simply add the ascending parameter and set it to the false. Okay, so that is what the very simple manner. So kindly have a note of it. So yeah, here we just go with the same thing, and I just want to make it in a descending order. So see, descending order D, C, B and A, where in the 15th cell we just got A, B, C, D. Okay, and yeah, of course, if you want to have a note of the original created, yeah, it is in unordered B, D, C, A. Okay, now, yeah, dear friends, if we want to sort the label in columns in ascending order, okay, it will be necessary to explicitly define the parameter axis. Okay, so axis is equal to 1. So by default, the axis always would be 0. And if we just specify it as 1, yeah, it is related to the column. So let me just pass it and execute it. And see here, dear friends, this is the exact sorted manner. Yeah, do you want to have a look of the original? So let I just go above, and here we just go. So here kindly just observe CDAB. That is what the exact original data frame. And now we have sorted in the ascending order. And to the same, if you want to make it in a descending, of course we have to use this ascending attribute and make it as like a false. Of course, yeah, here we just have provided the axis is equal to 1. So it is related to the corresponding values on the column. So see here, DC, B, A. Okay, now if we want to sort by both row labels and column labels, so we can do it safely by chaining the method. Okay, so chaining the method, yeah, of course, dear friend, first we sort the data frame first by the row and then later by the column. So see here, first let me just make it by the row. So axis is equal to 0 and chaining it with the axis is equal to 1. That is what we are just making it towards the, kindly observe, A, B, C, D in the row wise and A, B, C, D in the column wise. Both are in the sorted manner, and which is in the arrangement of a chaining methodology. Okay, now next it is all about sorting by values. Dear friends, another way to sort a data frame is to sort the row or column according to their contained value. So sorting by value is done by the exact function sort underscore values. Okay, so in order to work, this method needs a mandatory parameter that must be explicitly set. That is the by parameter. That is must be labeled column. So according to which the value within the column will be sorted in the ascending order. So kindly have a note of it. This is what the by parameter, and here I just want to make it by uppercase A. So it resembles to the exact column wise. Okay, so kindly just have a note of it. That is what the contained value to be there in ascending order. So see here, dear friends. So this one A, it is in ascending order 4, 4, 6 and next one is 8. And as can be seen from the result, the data frame has the value of column A in the ascending order. And consequently, the order of the corresponding row of the data frame has also changed in the same following order. Okay, the by parameter can also accept a list of column labels. So the sort value method will first sort the column values corresponding to the first label in the list, then in the context of the equal value present in this column, it will sort on the column corresponding to the second label in the list. And yeah, let me just have a note of it here. I just want to make it, one is for A and another it's for B. So kindly have a note of it, dear friends. So the B which is not in the order now, once I just want to make it towards the ascending. So kindly have a note of it, dear friends. So first I just want to make it in the value of 0022. First I have just assigned it, and now it has been done for the B also. So as we can see from the result, the value of column B will be reordered limited to the range of identical values present in the column A. So here for the specification of identical value, this is provided 0, 0 and 2, 2. Okay, so although it in the simple example it may be trivial, this combined sorting will be very useful in data frame where there are many rows with data on some columns whose value repeatedly noticeable. Okay, so yeah, finally both the things, let me just make use of the index method and sort values. Okay, so yeah, will not modify the original data frame but will return an ordered copy of it. Any changes made to the later will not affect the original data frame in the list. So kindly have a note of it. Here I'm just going to make it. So this one I'm just going to apply it on. First of all, kindly have a note of it. I'm just going to print the original data frame with the sorted order. Okay, and I'm just going to make it in the DF2. Okay, so see here how this is happening, how the exact copy of the functionality is applied. So this is what the CDAB, okay, and of course here we have just done towards the AB and CD according to the axis 0. Okay, according to the axis 0 it has been sorted. And so if we want our changes to be final, yeah, it will be necessary to assign the data frame returned by the function to the starting data frame. Okay, so that is also can be done. Yeah, let I just apply it towards the value by parameter. Okay, and let me just observe it. So see here by parameter, I'm just going to apply it on to this. So it is in the sorting of the original. Okay, now let me just move on to the next one, re-indexing. Dear friend, re-indexing is the fundamental method of aligning data in the pandas. So reindexing means conforming the data to match a given set of labels along a particular axis. So this involves a set of things which we just say as reordering of an existing data to response to the new set of labels, or the insertion of a null in the position where there is no correspondence, or possibilities of filling in the case of that missing, that is a null which the special data. Okay, so let me just make use of it. First of all, let me just create a data frame. Okay, and of course we are just going to create a data frame with 4 into 4 as our size of the matrix, and here it is our index and the column. Okay, so let me just first form the data frame. Okay, and yeah, dear friends, to reindex, let me just use the reindex method specifying the new order of the labels that the data frame must have. Kindly just have a note of it. It has to be there. Okay. The method will not operate on the reference data frame, but will return a copy of the data frame that will follow the new indexing rule. So to select with which particular index object will be reindexed, here we will add the axis parameter with its specific value as the function argument, as like axis is equal to 0 or axis is equal to 1, as like that. Okay, so yeah, first of all, let me just make it onto the row functionality. Here I have added axis is equal to 0. So let we execute and see it. Okay, now kindly have a note of it, dear friend. This is what reindexed. Of course, the original is BDCA. That is what the original indexed. And of course, it is reindexed as like AB, CD. And as you can see, the order of rows of the data frame has been completely changed. And following the order in the list of the labels, here it is specified as the argument of the method. And yeah, dear friends, the new data frame will be a completely independent copy, and any changes made to it will not affect the original of it. Okay, so kindly have a note of it. If I just want to make the same functionality here, so see here, this is what the exact 1 comma 1. I'm just going to change it to the 0, and kindly just to see what is there in the df2 and the df. Okay, so 1 comma 1. So this is what my 1 comma 1, and kindly just to see here, dear friends, it is not affecting the original data. It is not affecting the original data. Okay, so the same, let me just goes for the column wise. So let I just make it for the axis is equal to 1, and kindly have a note of it. Yeah, to this original, our order of the column is CDAB, and yeah, what happened when we just want to make it to the arrangement? Yeah, kindly have a note of it. Yeah, it is arranged as like A, B, C and D. So how we have provided the same thing in the row wise. Yeah, here also by using axis is equal to 1, we have done it as a column wise. Okay, now kindly have a note of it, dear friends. What happen if we insert a label that are not present in our original data frame, or if we commit some present labels or any other like that? Okay, so kindly have a note of it. Instead of B, I have provided an value as like E, which is not there in the existing df. Okay, so let I just give it and execute it. Kindly observe, dear friend. Yeah, as we can see, if a new label is inserted in the reindexing, yeah, the method will create a new column, or even though you can just apply it the same thing in the row wise also. Okay, but how it just have? Yeah, it just have it containing the values would be in NaN, that is a missing value. And while if you do not report an existing label in the reindexing, the columns or the row will be removed in the new returned data frame. Okay, fine. Okay, now let me just make the reindexing using another data frame as a reference. So here another data frame I just want to make it. So there is also the possibility of using a reference data frame from which to take the order of the indexes. So what is in the indexes? As like, yeah, both by row and by column, and apply it to our data frame. Dear friends, this exactly is possible with the reindex like. So let me just create one of the data frame here. So kindly have a note of it here. I'm just going to make it with the zeros, okay, in 4 into 4, just providing the index and the column as we decide here. Okay, so now we will apply the reindex method on our data frame on which we want to reindex. So here, yeah, this is our DFO is the exact data frame and we want to apply it, and kindly have a note of it. This DF which I just want to apply onto the reference this. So have a note what would happen. So 3849, 3844. So all the things which is original from this data frame. So this is how the original DF. Okay. Also in this case, if the reference data frame, there are labels that do not exist in our data frame on which to index, that is these rows or columns will be added to the new data frame, returned with all the null values. So kindly have that in the mind. So yeah, of course, let me make that too. So see here, dear friends, that is what, yeah, we are going to include one of the index as E, and to the column W is at, yeah, which is not in the existed one. Yeah, we are just going to make it towards the indexed. Okay, so that is the reference. So let we reference it and apply towards it. So how it happens? So yeah, as we have already discussed, yeah, wherever the exact, if the reference data frame, some labels that are not present, the corresponding rows or columns will be removed from the new data which is returned, and of course it would have the new data with NaN, which we just specify as like missing. And that's bring us to the end of our deep dive into working within a Panda data frame. We explored how to view data with head and tail method, how to select a subset with LOC and ILOC indexer, how to filter rows with Boolean conditions, and how to edit columns and rows on the fly. We also saw how Pandas makes it simple to apply descriptive statistics, sort values, and reindex dataset. Difference for generative AI workflows, these skills are indispensable. Whether you are filtering a dataset of chat completion by quality, removing duplicates in image caption paths, or standardizing token embedding before feeding them into a model. So Pandas ensures you can reshape your data exactly the way you need. And dear friends, in the upcoming session, we will go one step further and explore advanced transformation and pre-processing pipelines, bringing us closer to training model that can generate with intelligence. So if you found this session helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for the next sessions in this Gen AI journey. And hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance. See you in the next session, dear friends. Happy learning.